Hey guys, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So as you all know, I have reached 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I wanted to thank you guys so much for that. I really appreciate it. When I started YouTube, I never really thought I was going to reach this number, and it might not be a big number to some people, but to me personally, it means a lot. So thank you all so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to be answering some questions that I asked you guys to ask me, and that some of my friends asked me as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. A little disclaimer before we start: if I refer to someone as unknown, that means that the person in question did not want me to show their name or to display their name. So just so you know. Anyway, let's get on with the questions. So the first question is from an unknown user, and they ask, what is the worst avatar you ever worked on? Now, I do have to say this is a difficult question to answer because, some avatars are good in Unity but not in Blender and vice versa. Out of all the avatars, however, that I worked on, I do have to settle on the Tatums. Now, this might be shocking to some people, but I do have to say, as much as I love Tatums and I appreciate them, I would have to say that the UV map on them isn't great. The Blender project for them, I had some issues on my side, and Unity as well. I had some issues when importing the FBX from Blender. Now, this could be my personal error, I'm not too sure, but at the moment, that's the avatar that I can think of, so I would have to settle on the Tatum. I'm really sorry. Next question we have comes from David, and he asks, how did you start working on VRChat avatars? I actually started working on avatars back in early 2018. When I started playing VRChat, I was very curious to kind of know how do people make avatars and how difficult it is. And I had some few friends that actually worked on avatars and, put few assets on it and put few things together. And that really spiked my interest in it. And basically throughout me watching how they work on avatars and them teaching me as well, because I had so many people teach me. Without few certain people, I wouldn't ever get into VRChat avatars, I would say. I watched few people work on avatars and it really interested me, and then they helped me with few projects to get started, and then they just kind of dropped me and I had to kind of figure the rest of the things out by myself, which it was challenging, but it's really worth it. Next question we have comes from Salty Nuggets. He asks, where do you find inspiration for creating your avatars? I would have to say that by basically playing VRChat and seeing other people's avatars and what they created with both, let's say, art, so let's say Blender renders, or just any type of avatars that is specifically related to VRChat, basically seeing their avatars, and then I can just kind of put in my head, maybe to change the design or add something to it. Or maybe if I have an idea of myself, of a certain species or a certain avatar, let's say if I see something cool from a video game or a movie or something like that, and then I would just kind of have the idea in my head and I would just put the avatar together. So I hope that answers your question. I mostly get inspired from other people's VRChat avatars. Next person is unknown as well. They ask, what is something recent that you love about VRChat, and what is something recent that you hate about VRChat? This is a great question. Thank you so much for asking. So something recent that I love about VRChat, I really appreciate all the updates that we're getting, especially with all the SDK, and now we're actually getting Unity 2022, which performance is great and overall we're getting cool stuff. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm excited that I'm still around, that I didn't leave VRChat. And something recent that I hate about VRChat, I would have to say that, well, two things. One of them being including the easy anti-cheat, which left us with basically so many good people and interesting people leaving. There were so many cool people that were messing around with mods and stuff, and they were really cool. So when they introduced that, they just kind of dropped it and left. As well, I'm not really too sure how to feel about VRChat going on mobile, because if the platform stays VRC Plus only, then it's okay, but I think they're going to eventually release it to everyone, and we're going to have so many kids and trolls just come on in, and it's going to be chaos. It's going to be basically the Do You Know the Way 2018 meme of just the VRChat series. It's just going to be that all over again. Next, we actually have 3 questions by Art by Ashley. She asks, what got you into Unity and Blender? As I stated before, I basically saw a bunch of friends at the time that I had who were working on avatars and doing all these cool things and putting stuff together. And it just really interested me to jump in and do the same as well. I think it was really cool to watch them make cool stuff, and then me jumping in as well. it was great. That's about it. Just watching my friends at the time working on stuff, it was really great. Another question is, what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite candy? So my favorite movie, hands down, has to be Back to the Future. All three of them. I think just Back to the Future is the best movie. I have a few other ones if you're curious, like Edward Scissorhands is also great. The Chocolate Factory is also great. Mostly older movies are really great. I'm not really too big of a fan of the newer ones, but the best one has to be Back to the Future. And my favorite candy has to be Stroopwafel. I think it's from Netherlands, and it's basically just two waffles squished in like between some like caramel, I think it is. I'll show a picture here, but yeah, Stroopwafel. If you never had a chance to try it, I would 100% recommend it. It's really good. Next question comes from Generic Pixel Fox, and he asks, what do you love about VR and what kept you hooked? What I love about VR is how easy it is to meet people and to connect with others. I think it's great that we can have something, both VR and platform wise, that you can just go on and hang out with people if you are not able to do so in real life. And VR in general, like VR tech and how it works, I find it really cool and interesting. What kept me hooked, I would say all the content that we receive from it, mostly the games that we have and overall how it works. But it's mostly the people that I also met while playing VR and just overall connecting with, as I said, other people. And yeah, that's basically it. VR is great, and if you ever have the opportunity to try it, I 100% recommend it. Even though if you think it's not your thing, I would still say that you should give it a shot. Another question he asked is, how was your first experience in VRChat and VR in general? My first experience in VRChat was very bad, to say it like that. When I started playing VRChat, the meme "do you know the way" was a thing. So every single world you joined, that was just the only thing that was going on. Everyone was just running around with that avatar and just saying, "Do you know the way? Do you know the way?" And so I was just sitting there thinking, okay, well, this is just a meme game. Like, there's no point to this game whatsoever. But then I gave it another shot later on, and then I realized that it's actually not that bad, and it's really nice. My first experience in VR was okay. It wasn't nothing too special. I just found it cool that you're able to, sit in one area and then look around and you're basically transformed into a completely different world. So I would have to say that, yeah, VR is pretty great and my first experience was quite interesting. Next question is by Sam, and he asks, what made you get your first VR headset? So what made me get my first VR headset has to be VRChat. I basically started playing VRChat, and no matter no matter who I was talking to, they basically said VR is a completely different experience and it is something that you should 100% try. And so I was like, okay, but yeah, it's because of VRChat. Blame it all on the VRChat. And another question he asks is, what inspired you to make tutorials? Now, this is a great question because I have a perfect answer for it. So when you're searching for something and you're trying to find a tutorial and all of them are just super long. Like one time I was sitting there and I typed in really simple thing on how to do in VRChat, and the only tutorial that I saw was like 19 minutes long. And so I was like, no, I can do it much faster and cut down and make so many shortcuts that I just basically sat down, I learned how to do the thing, and I made the whole video and the whole tutorial in basically under 5 minutes, and it was great. As well as at the time, I was kind of getting into the community, like VRChat community, and I was already tinkering with avatars, and I knew how to, let's say, import an avatar in Unity. And so I was like, okay. And so I just made a video to basically make it easier for other people who are as well new to Unity and just to get started. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Next question is again by Unknown. They ask, why do you have 20 as part of your name? This is a question I get asked pretty much all the time when I meet someone new. So the reason why I have 20 in my name is because my birthday is on 20th of August. I know it's not really original, and I kind of actually like the number 20, and I was just looking for a simple, like, nice number because I just couldn't go for a just basic simple name. So I just used the 20 and just my name, and that's why I have 20 in my name. Sparse asks, what is the most major skill/trait you have learned from your time doing content creation? I definitely have to say I've gotten better at video editing and recording as well. I wasn't doing that much back in the day, and I didn't know how to record whatsoever, nor I didn't know how to edit videos. So as I did more content and as I did more stuff, I basically learn both of those things, and as well as, well, I learned how to use Blender and Unity. That kind of pushed me basically to learn more stuff so I can provide more content. Max Films asks, what's your favorite avatar you've created? I uploaded a lot of avatars, but so it's really hard to nitpick which is one of my favorites. But I do have to say the recent favorite that I created is the long Nardotar. I think that one is just hilarious looking, and I really like how it turned out. It is just a complete meme. I would say the recent one has to be that one. That one definitely takes the cake. Another question he asks is, what's the hardest thing you learned involving a VRChat or modeling? It has to be just in general working on avatars and cutting down corners to make stuff easy. I'm not too big of a pro in Blender, but I definitely learned quite a lot of Blender just by, working on avatars and stuff. So I would have to say that definitely has to be that. And another question is, what is the most ambitious thing you want to do but you haven't done yet? If you mean VRChat wise, that has to be making a very specific music video. I want to make a very specific VRChat music video. However, the reason why I'm not able to do it is because it requires you to know how to do animations in Blender. It's nothing too difficult really, it's just like few camera shots and like body transformations, but until I learn that, I'm not able to do it. But if you mean avatar wise, that definitely has to be how to swap in head, arms, and legs on like from one avatar to another. I think that would be a really good skill to have, or just in general to put an avatar in Blender and then reshape it completely. I kind of already do that, but I do have to say it's not professional, so I would definitely love to learn how to do that. Next question we have is by Nico Fox. He asks, what is the most common thing you're asked regarding VRChat stuff? Ooh, that one is a tough question because so many things people constantly ask me all over again. I get questions even today like, how do you attach like certain something to like a head or something like that, or just any kind of avatar body area, and as well like how to make avatars Quest compatible. That is also one of the questions I get asked a lot. Another thing would be how to add like maybe other body parts from avatars onto from one avatar to another avatar. But I just have to answer all these questions by telling them I have a YouTube channel and I make tutorials. So I hope that answers your question. And the last question we have is again by unknown user, and they ask, what is the worst pain you ever felt? This is a really interesting question, I have to say. If you mean like actual in real life physical pain, that has to be when I had stitches in my right leg and I had to take them out basically, and they didn't give me any like numbing thing or how you call them. So it was like actual stitches and they were just like pulling them out. And my dad told me like after, I don't remember this, but my dad tells me that like I was screaming and just like flopping all over the place, which that's horrible. But that would do it for all the questions, guys. Thank you all so much for asking, and thank you all so much for being part of this channel and this whole community. I really appreciate all of you guys, and thank you so much for sticking around with the channel. If you have some video requests or video ideas or tutorials that you would want me to cover, definitely leave them down in the comments, or you can reach out to me on my Telegram and ask me there. But as always, click here if you want to check out some of my other videos that I have created, and click here if you want to stick with the channel and keep up with all the videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you around. Peace.